Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn, and I am grateful you're here. You're listening to the Starting with Gratitude podcast. This is a safe space intended to host meaningful conversations exploring all topics of the human experience. Every conversation starts with gratitude and remains rooted in gratitude. After you listen, make sure to join the community by subscribing and sharing. I am so happy you have joined us. Hi, Edgar.
What's up?
How is your spirit doing right now?
My spirit is kind of been really busy. So I feel like um, I've kind of just been like spread everywhere, but I feel like I'm doing a lot better at managing it than I was before.
Okay. Before we dive into our conversation, I just want to express, like, as someone who has been able to kind of witness your growth from when we were back home in Tucson, that I'm genuinely really proud of you.
I
And
appreciate that.
I hope that you are consistently reminded of how proud you should feel for yourself too.
Yeah,
And you're deserving of all the success that you receive.
I appreciate that. I feel like with you, you're one of the few people who got to see that 15-year-old kid back home start, you know what I mean? Find his way here, and you get to see this version and you got to see the beginning of it, so it's super dope.
Yeah, I feel like it is important to have those people who know where you're coming from and know I feel like it's those people from back home, or those people that got to experience you before these big life changes, kind of know your inner child in a way, kind of know what your true essence is. So yeah, I feel like those people are important in your life. Pero I'm going to go ahead and invite you to share with us what you express for your gratitude.
I think one of the most important things right now for me has been being grateful for a lot of the lessons that I've learned so far in life. I think a lot of people look at lessons, whether they're positive or negative. A lot of people take the negative ones and kind of either give up, or they just feel like it's the end of something. But I feel like that's genuinely what makes you stronger and what makes you better at what you're doing, and makes everything worth it at the end of the day. I feel like I'm really grateful for the lessons, because if it wasn't for that, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily be here.
Yeah. What is a quote unquote negative lesson that you feel you've experienced recently that you feel like most people would have given up on, but you persevered?
I would have to say something we all have this we all imagine what our end result would be, right? And we all say yo, I just got to do this and I got to do this and then I'll be there. But in reality, things never work out what you have it planned as, or as they work out how things should go. So my biggest thing, I wouldn't necessarily say recently, but when I first came out here, a lot of the times the doors that I thought were gonna be the ones, this is gonna be the thing that's gonna change my life, or this is gonna be the next step, and it didn't work out, or something crazy happened, and it just became negative, and I always looked at those moments okay, this wasn't meant to be, this is just supposed to be like the next part of the story. And like I feel like with a lot of people, they just take those negative experiences and like, well, it's over. Like this is like the only thing I had going, or like this is what I had that like was part of the plan. But I guess that's what I mean by like taking the negative and just like continuing to just move forward. Because in life, it's just gonna continue. There's gonna be more negativity, I feel like, than positivity, but it's up to you to like how you take that and like turn it into something that's gonna work for you.
Yeah. What do you feel was like when you first moved out here and like the doors like that you thought would be the one to lead you to like a dream that you were chasing? What was that one moment that you feel was a very pivotal one for you where you were like, oh, this is it? Or
Yeah. I had a situation, I think it was like after like the first year I was like interning at Electric Field. And I had a situation where somebody who was associated with Electric Field reached out and they needed somebody to just be like their full-time like engineer and like help them like build their label up. So I took the chance instead of staying somewhere where I was, you know, constantly like under new opportunity with like so many artists coming through. And I just took the chance and I went with him because it was like a job opportunity. And I figured like, you know, somebody who's like 18, like I'm like, yo, like I can finally make some money off this. So I took that chance. It worked for like the first like 3 or 4 months. But then after that, it just like completely turned sour. I don't think like his situation was working out or something, but it just turned sour and like it turned into a moment where like I was just financially cut off, and I was financially cut off like at the exact moment where I needed to move. Like my car broke, like I needed to tow it home. Like it was just so much things going on at the same time that felt negative, that felt like maybe I should just go home, that like I just like reassessed everything. I like went home, I figured everything out, like, you know, like baby steps, like, you know, like cool, like if I do this, then I can get a new battery for my car. Or like if, you know, like if I do this, I could figure it out. And I did. I waited, I figured it out, waited like 2 or 3 days, and that's when I got the phone call for the whole like Peep situation. And that's when it just went like from what the fuck am I gonna do to, hey, I'm finally gonna be able to be like full-time music. That's what I mean by like this door or like this path didn't work out, but a better door was open for me. And that's because it's just like the way things happen. I just feel like you just have to like stick to it.
yeah. Why do you feel like you, like now that you got to experience Peep and that season of your life where you were working with him, looking back, why do you feel like it was meant to be for you guys to work together or for you to work with him?
I would say just because like it just felt so like natural. Like it didn't feel like, I feel like with most people out here, like everybody like wants something from you. And like he saw that it was just like a kid, like just like trying to work, you know what I mean? Like it didn't really matter about any of the politics, any of like the other stuff that came with it. We were just genuinely just trying to make like music, like good music. And I feel like that's what like made that situation work so well. And, you know, fast forward, you know, we worked for a little bit here, and then it was I think it was like 2 or 3 months in where they decided they wanted to finish up the project in London. And I was still like like I was still doing music, but I still like wasn't making enough to like support myself. So I was working at like Banana Republic, and that's when they called me, like the management, and they're like, "Hey, like Pete wants you to come out to London so y'all can like work on this project." And I was like, yeah, like I didn't care. I had like a whole month scheduled of work, and I just left right there and like didn't come back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a pivotal, like, kind of like going back to that, like, you just have to like trust yourself and like take whatever risks are like you're not gonna like, you have to take big risks for you to like get to where you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people trying to do the same exact thing. I feel like I strayed off a little bit, but I feel like that's why it worked. It was just so natural.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right. Like a lot of people, I think we forget like how many people want to chase the same or similar dream that we do.
Yeah.
What do you feel makes you someone who believes in yourself? Because that's what it takes, honestly, like to be able to take the risks that you take. Like you have to like really, really believe in yourself. And I'm sure that you experienced people around you like doubting you or like having worries that are natural and probably have good intention, but are you naturally that person, or like what do you think makes you?
I think it definitely took that's why I say like to a lot of people, like your first like 1 or like 2 years in LA, you're just figuring things out. Like that's like the pivotal years that are either going to make you or break you. And I feel like within that time, like I learned how to be confident in myself. And that's what people genuinely like want to see. Like, don't be cocky. Don't be like, like, it's like, don't say like you're the best person in the world type, thing. But like, you have to be very confident in what you do, because if you're confident in what you do, then people are going to rely on you and be like, you know what? Like, I trust that he's going to take care of us, or like, he's going to like make sure like my music is, gets better, or whatever the case may be. But I think that's key, is confidence. I've seen a lot of people try to do like this, or like be in the music industry, and they're not confident. And like, you're like, especially out here, like you have to be like, you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will. And that's like the most important part.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, even if there's moments where you're like, damn, like, what am I doing? Like, is this worth it? Whatever. Like, you have to show that, you know what I mean? Like, you're here for the long run. Like, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah. What is that? What is the long run for you? Like, what is your motivator to keep going? And like, what is it? What's that bigger picture for you?
I would say the creativity, like, obviously, like, as much as like engineering and doing all that stuff is like cool. Like, I'm always doing my own music. I'm always writing. Like, I'm always helping other people with their music. And to me, that's more of like the long run for me. That's what makes this fun.
Mm-hmm.
The engineering stuff is just like, it's pretty mathematical. It's pretty just like patterns. But to me, being able to create, that's like my drug. That's like, since I was little, like since you met me, since I was like 14, 15, like I've always like, every time like you create something and like you're really happy about it, like that feeling, like I want that feeling every time like I create something. And that's why like that's such a good feeling for me. And that's what keeps me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did want to touch on that. Like, I feel like when I met Edgar, I met Young One Era.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be a rapper. And, I feel like, I mean, from the outside looking in, it seems like a lot of your time is dedicated towards engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you had to be flexible with your vision or your goals to like spend more time with engineering than being an artist? Or like, is being an artist something you still want to be?
Yeah. So, I mean, everything comes when it's supposed to, like I was saying earlier. So like, it's not like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, that's why in the beginning of this, I mean, like I'm being spread so thin, because like at the same time that I'm being depended on to like, be like this person for like internet money, to where like handling every single artist that comes through. I'm like handling all the big stuff, like how we did Lemonade and we did all that. Like I'm in charge of all of that, but at the same time, I'm in charge of my own career where like I'm putting my stuff together. The thing is, it's like, it's kind of a blessing and it's kind of like a curse, but I get what I need to get done. The thing is, it's like at a slower pace, but in a way, like I'm cool with it because I get to sit with my music. And like, ever since I came out here, I feel like my problem was that like I was just like making music and then like I just wanted to put it out like really quick and then I'd get over it. I'm like, why did I put this out? But I'm finally like in a place where like I'm confident with who I am as an artist. I'm confident at the music that I put out. So anything I put out, like it's been marinating for like 4 or 5 months of like me just like adding things, taking things out, doing stuff like that. So I feel like also working with so many artists and like being creative with them, like you learn like different sides of yourself that you didn't even, you know what I mean? Like didn't even know you wanted to explore. So like that's why like you met Young One Era, like the rapper, but in reality, like this whole time, like my goal was to create like music that it will have like like you can listen to it 10 years later and you're just like, yeah, like this is cool. I still mess with this. And that's like what all this like time that feels like it's been slower or like it's been taking a while has like led up to now. Cause like now I'm ready. I got like 10 songs ready to go. Like I'm just waiting on like the rollouts and like, I feel like I'm in a better position than I was before I left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to like fund my own stuff. Like I'm fully independent right now. And like I have all the tools that I need because of the time that I put in. So I feel like I'm in a good position.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like you said, being surrounded by so many artists that you work with, just like your environment in general, I feel like is benefiting who you are as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are some of the big takeaways that you've taken as an artist from being an engineer?
I would say structuring and like how to like, like being in the industry, you guys are kind of like expected to make like the next big thing, right? Like the next hit song, the next whatever. So putting so much time in, like I'm able to take my part, like the creativity and like the genuineness of like who I am and like take the algorithms of like what it takes to be like this like artist or like this like make this like hit song, you know what I mean? So like I just combine those and I feel like each time like I'm getting closer and closer to what I want to be, like what I want to sound like. Like I know there's a night and day difference from like what I'm going to drop next month versus like what was being dropped when I was 14 or 15, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest takeaway would be that like creativity and like finding new sounds. Like I'm the whole reason I became an engineer in the first place was because I wanted to be like self-sufficient in the way that like I was working with people, but like I couldn't like I try to explain like what I wanted to hear, but like they're not me, so they don't know what I'm talking about. So just learning this whole thing about myself, it gave me the benefit of being able to take more control of my own creativity in my music.
Yeah. How, you know, being like a full-time overtime engineer and also working on your own stuff independently, earlier in this conversation, you were saying that you feel like you just now are starting to really organize your time in a way that feels better to you and your health.
Yeah.
Can you share like what that experience has been like as you were experiencing like more and more work and we're trying to adjust everything?
Yeah. I felt like every year, at least twice a year, maybe, there's always like, I call it like anxiety season, where it's like Taz well, like, and it's in no way like anything negative, but like Taz will just have like 30 different things going on at the same time. And um, every time, like since I've been with Internet Money for almost like, I think it's like 3.5 or like 4 years at this point. Every single time, like it feels like no way, like this shit's impossible. Like there's no way, like I can do this time, and it always gets done. So I kind of learned from like the last like 3 years where every time I'm like, damn, like what am I gonna do? Like there's always like a way. We always get through it, and there's always like a great reward at the end of it. So I feel like doing that and like learning from the past, um, everything gets easier. Like even now, like right now, we're probably at like the busiest we've been because we have our own singles, we have other artists' albums, we have our own artists' projects. I have my own things coming out. Like I it always feels like no way, but it just always happens like how it's supposed to. And like I trust that process. I just keep a positive attitude. Like I feel like a lot of people in my position would just be like, nah, like fuck that. But I feel like if you're more accepting of things, then people feel comfortable with you. People feel like, cool, like you can handle it.
Yeah. And I feel like it's really important to have a good support system around you.
Yeah.
What else would you say is also really important in regards to like your environment?
I feel like that's probably one of the things that make Internet Money like so special is that it's genuinely just like a group of like friends like making music, and that's probably my biggest support system as far as like we're all going through this shit together. So it's like, well, if it was just me, like I feel the type of way, you know what I mean? But like we all got deadlines to meet. We all got, so and so we got to work with. We're all in it together, and that's what makes it dope.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend.
Yeah.
Just because you're able to mix like business with friendship, and like I know sometimes that could be sticky, but like just the way that we like carry ourselves and we do business is just such a new way. It's like such a refreshing way because like my past experiences with like labels is like nothing like what Internet Money is. It's very like people who just don't understand things, who are just out of touch, who just like don't really care about you. But Internet Money is definitely like a family.
Yeah. Coming from where we're from, where this world is completely different, and, where we're from, it's hard for people to even dream about the reality of this possibility for them,
Yeah.
What would you say, like, were your growing pains as you were stepping into the success that you have now?
That's tough. I would say my biggest thing was kind of like in the beginning. It's harder to run into things that like have to do with like coming up at this point. But in the beginning, when I was trying to make this happen, when I was going to school in Phoenix, I was the only person who had to work while I was in school. I was the only person who was like living check by check, like trying to make this shit happen. Like I think I graduated with a C from my engineering school, and it wasn't necessarily because I wasn't trying. It was because like I couldn't make it to like the after school like events and like shit like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't necessarily like, I feel like I had to work harder because of that. Like I was like, on paper, I was like the C student, but as soon as I came out here, it's like, yeah, that shit don't even matter. Like, show me who you are. Like, show me like what you're about. Like, show me whatever. And like, I just feel like growing up in like a Hispanic like household, like all you necessarily like learn growing up is like how to work hard. Like you have to work harder than other people or else you're going to be left behind, because there's always going to be somebody who like knows somebody in the industry who like just gets into it or like doesn't have to do anything. But I would do this way every single time if I could go back, because
Yeah.
this way, like, it's like if it feels like the last 5 years to me feel like 20. Like it's so crazy to me how long this like journey has felt, and like it doesn't even feel like it's halfway done yet. But I
Yeah.
would say that that's definitely like that beginning and that like initial, like you have to work like 3 times harder than the next person, because you'll get overlooked if you're just like if you don't try, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what about like outgrowing people?
Oh yeah. um I feel like that's part of anybody's life. I feel like um it's inevitable. Like I feel like and it's kind of harder like in this on this side because um of like pursuing your career, and like I knew exactly what I wanted to do like my freshman year of like high school. Matter of fact, probably like 7th grade, because I started recording when I was in 7th grade. Um, I knew what I wanted to do and I focused on it, and it was tough because I had a lot of friends who like just took different paths, who just like like or just like stayed the same as like when we were like in high school, and like I feel like it's a very natural thing to like outgrow people, and like you outgrow people and you meet new people who are like where you are in life, you know what I mean? And like I feel like that's just genuinely like natural. It's a natural part of it. So um, I've learned to accept that instead of feeling like damn, like I'm letting people down or like people think I changed or like whatever. Like at the end of the day, like I'm very confident in like the person I am, and like I know like I'm still that same kid. I'm just like smarter and
Yeah.
like, like moving forward in my life. And if people can't grow with you or people can't accept that, then it's not the people you need in your life.
Yeah. Who would you say is someone who is very or was very pivotal in your life when you were starting to attract this new life that you're in?
Um, I would say probably Frankie. Frankie is like the one that brought me into internet money. Uh, Frankie was the person who just like I reached out to him when he first came out here. He had like a head start. He was out here like a year before I was, while I was still in school, and like I guess like the easiest way to say it is like he walked so like I could run, because he was going through a lot of shit. Like he has his own like story, and before I got there, like the way that things were being ran, where he was interning at. Um, I'm surprised he stayed there that long, but he definitely like paved the way as far as like the beginning, and I'm just lucky enough to like be able to like work with like my best friends. So
Yeah. What is it that you love about engineering?
uh, probably the creative side, just because like there's obviously like it's very technical, but I feel like I took the idea of like engineering or being the engineer, and like I feel like I made it my own. I feel like in this industry, the engineers are like the bottom of the food chain, but I made it, especially with internet money, it gave me the opportunity to not be like, not give anyone a reason to feel like they should disrespect me, or like, I guess feel like I'm like an actual like an important tool in the room, instead of just being like the dude that pushes spaceball. You know what I mean? So that's something I am grateful for, internet money. But it's become much more than that. Like people depend on me. Like people refuse to like record if I'm not there. Like it's that type of situation, and that's like what I wanted to like build for. Because then you stick out, then like people need you, or else they can't, fully work to 100%.
Yeah. And what do you think makes you someone that like people are like, nah, like if Edgar is not the engineer, like I can't do this?
I feel like a lot of people miss this, but it's like just be like a vibe, just be like yourself. Like I feel like I'm myself all the time when I'm with people, and since since every time they see me, it's consistent. I'm the same person. I'm not like super shy, like whatever. Like they're able to connect more and feel more comfortable. Because at the end of the day, like people are really trusting you to help them create their music. You know what I mean? Like that's a very like vulnerable thing, I guess, for like artists. You know what I mean? To like
For
trust
sure.
somebody. So especially if they're using autotune, like they gotta trust you. They gotta feel comfortable because yeah, Lord knows what they sound like without it. So.
And what was like a time, if ever, like in the studio where you feel like you low key fucked up or made a mistake and you were like, oh,
I would say that that's definitely like a lot of like the big lessons I learned. There was I had a session with Thug like in the beginning, and I kind of blame myself because I feel like looking back, I'm like, yeah, like I wasn't ready. Like the mistakes I made were like minimal, but I'll never make those mistakes again. And it was just like something simple. It was like something that was like out of time or whatever. But like it was like a room full of probably like a room this size, full of like his people. And like there's just like a lot of yelling and shit. And I'm just like, I never want to fuck up again. So
yeah.
I'm cool. You take that and you run with it and you're like, cool, I might have fucked this situation up, but you just keep it going. You don't make those mistakes again and you become better.
Yeah. Being, surrounded by such big artists, was that an adjustment for you, or like, being authentically yourself is really important. But I feel like a lot of people who do come into these spaces and are surrounded by these people and money and success changes who you are. How have you not allowed that to happen for yourself?
I feel like I've been able to, I think that's why I'm really grateful for like the way things like happen from the beginning, because I see both sides. Like I see what it's like to be like, like these super like rich millionaires or like whatever, like being in a good financial situation. But then I know what it's like to not have anything. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm very like confident in like what I want in my life, or like what I identify as like comfortable or like peaceful. And like it's not like cars and like houses and like shit like that. Like I feel like I'm just very confident in like myself and like what I want. I've seen both sides, and like that side, the side that people think like makes you happy, those are the most unhappy people I've met. And like I'm very grateful for my situation, my upbringing, because I get to go home and I have a ton of family and a ton of friends that love me and I love them. And I feel like a lot of people lose track of like that's like the most important thing. Like, yeah, like this shit is cool, but like when I'm home, like I don't talk about none of this. I don't talk about it. Like it's like that's it's like I'm working so that I can be comfortable there. You know what I mean? In the long run.
Yeah. Does your family understand what you do?
No.
No.
Every time, like I tell my mom what's going on, whatever, like literally, like she was like, oh wow, like that's cool. But like until it's like she saw these, she was like, oh, like that's what you do. And like she's like, wow. And like started telling her friends and stuff. But it's like, dude, you don't know what I do. But it's all love. Like she just knows that like music has always been like my thing. My mom has probably been like the most supportive person, like when it came to it. She's the one that helped me go to school. Like she helped me do a lot of this. Like in the beginning, you know, like if I needed money for food, like my first year out here, like she would help me. And I take that as like, you know, she's just supportive. She knows that I'm very confident in what I do, and like she's just very open to it. Whereas like a lot of people would be like, music, like why are you trying to make music?
Yeah. I feel like it also like when your family is like that, especially your mom, it like keeps you humble in a way.
Yeah. My mom's like my best friend. Like, so, you know, it's just very important to me, like, you know, for her to be on board with everything. And it paid off. Like, you know, she's here. She's she's happy. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. What advice would you give to engineers specifically that are like really trying to, in a sense, be in your shoes?
Be yourself. Unless you're like annoying, then don't be yourself. Nah, like in all seriousness, like you just need to be genuine. Be genuine, and like the opportunities will come. If you truly want to do this and you truly like put the time in and the effort, then you'll make it happen. Like I've met a ton of people who just like are comfortable with where they're at, and they don't want to get better. They don't want to do anything else that's different. You know what I mean? Like, but I have met people who are very driven, who want to like, if they make a mistake, they want to be better. They fix it for the next time. Like that's the type of person you have to be. You have to be open. You have to make sure you're trustworthy, and the rest will follow. I mean, I feel like it's just like good karma when it comes to stuff like that. Like you get what you put into it. And
Yeah.
even sometimes you might put a bunch of like good into it, and bad things will happen, but that's just life. Like I feel like a lot of people just need to learn that like
Yeah.
bad things are gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah. You are someone who, for me, has just always come off as someone with like a really good heart and like a pure heart. Do you feel like when you're in this industry or in this level of success, you need to harden your heart in any way?
Yeah. Just because you need to be very selective on like who gets the side of you. You know what I mean? Like I'm very I'm very closed off, and that's just because you just have to like learn, you know what I mean? Like you just have to learn like who deserves like the good part of you. Obviously, I'm not saying like be mean to like people, like whatever, but like I see this side as like me being like open to like people, and like this is like how I am with everyone that I love, or like whatever the case may be. But just being very selective, because not everyone deserves like 100% who you are. You know what I mean? With people, there's a lot of negativity. But once you find your circle, once you find like that, then it no longer feels like you have to like uh not be like this. You know what I mean? I feel 100% comfortable, and that's because I'm able to work with like a team that I trust. I know everybody. I know everybody's like life. Like they know my life. Like it's just that situation.
Yeah. Did you have like a trust issues phase at any point?
Yeah, but it's always kind of like disguised as like just being very observant. Like I feel like a lot of people when they meet me, they're like, "Dude, you're so quiet, like whatever." But like I just feel like I'm very observant, and like I talk like when I feel like it's like necessary, and I feel like that just builds credibility. Like you're not just talking to talk. I know a lot of people like in this industry who just like no matter what you do, I could literally like play like a fart on repeat, and they'll be like, "Wow, that's amazing. That's like the next big thing." And it's like you guys are clearly just like just want to hear yourself talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like just that credibility, being able to tell people no, being able to tell people like no, that sucks. Like no matter if you feel like that's hurtful, like you're being honest and you're being genuine, and
Yeah.
that's worked 1,000 times better than me pretending to like something or like pretending to like be cool with somebody, like, because then you're just not being genuine.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you've seen the side of like what a lot of people want when, you know, richness, fame, whatever. A lot of those people that you've met are actually really unhappy. What would you say are other things, or one other thing that was really eye-opening for you?
I think in general how small like the industry is. Like everybody like knows each other, and like it's very, very like when it comes down to like the people who are like making big moves, it's a very small circle. It's like a lot of politics. It's a lot of stuff. Like half the time, like it's not even necessarily about like having like a big song or like whatever. Like it's just like I don't like them, so like I'm not gonna make a song with them or like whatever. This is a lot of that. It's kind of like high school,
Yeah.
but you know, it's your job to just you know just be cool with everybody.
Yeah. What would
I,
you go
no,
ahead?
you're good. You're good.
I feel like you have made enough music and have been surrounded by enough amazing artists to where you know good music.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I feel like sometimes what makes a song a hit isn't necessarily like a timeless song. How do you feel about making hits or songs that are hits?
Um, a lot of times you don't necessarily like know 100%. Like you can, I've heard, you know, like I don't know, let's just say like you can have a song with like Drake and like Kanye and like Jay-Z and like it's not a hit. You know what I mean? Like you can be confident that like you can be more confident at like what you're putting out, but it's always like down to like how the people take it. Like for example, Lemonade, like we knew it was a great song. We just didn't know like how great of a song it was. And based on Billboard, like it went number 6. So we take that and we're like, cool, what can we take from something like this and make sure, you know, it goes even further next time. And like that's why like it's been kind of like a process. Like we've literally this next single, like we've been working on it for like 8 months now. And like I'm talking about from like the beginning to like where it's at right now, which is like ready, but just to like it just goes to show you how like calculated like everything is, like how like it's very like strategic. As for like timeless music, you just put it out with no expectations. You give it a chance, you know what I mean? Like you just give it like you give it some sort of like so people are like watching, you know, like playlisting or whatever. But then from there you just kind of let it do its thing. Like to me, like Tell Me has been like as a personal artist has been like my most successful song because since the moment I put it out, I have not messed with it or like done anything with it, and it's just organically like been able to like people come back and like listen, and it's just been like continuing to go up. And I think it's going on like 7 months, and it's going to be on 1 million streams. It's going to be my first 1 million stream song on Spotify.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So it's just kind of like one of those, it's like two different feelings. You know what I mean? Like as much as a part of, as I am on Lemonade, and it's like this song that's on the radio that's like everybody knows, or like even with Falling, like it's like a great feeling, but it's a different feeling when it's like this 1 million means way more than like this hit song to me. So
Right.
I feel like that's another reason why like I'm kind of like naive to like the engineering side, I feel like.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the takeaways that you got from Lemonade's success? or the
Um,
success of any other song?
for example, Falling came out in 2018 and it
Mm.
didn't blow up until like last year. So like I feel like we were very confident at the time. We were in a different label situation, a label that like I think like the day before we were gonna drop Lemonade with Trevor, our artist, um, they wanted to give it to a bigger artist, and we're like, nah, like we're gonna drop this. So being confident in that and like being patient, like it did do good, but obviously like it didn't turn into like a hit song because it was like nobody knew who the artist was, nobody knew who Internet Money was, and then like fast forward 2 years later, TikTok becomes a thing. Falling is like the most used song on TikTok, and it became like what it was. So like being patient, I feel like being persistent, being like seeing that, like it really taught me like, okay, cool. Like if you're confident in something, just like push it. You know what I mean? Like don't just like even Lemonade. Lemonade was done way before that. I think it was like 2016 or something,
Oh,
where
wow.
like it was like a writing session they did way back when, and Don Toliver had cut it, and this was like before like the co-sign of like Travis and like Astro World and all that, and it was something that was just found because it was like on the internet when he beat, and we're like, let's bring it back, let's make it better, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when we added Gunna, that's when we added Nav, and it became what it was.
Mm.
I feel like stuff like that is just kind of like undeniable, like people know those hooks, you know what I mean, like no matter like where you come from, like you've heard those hooks.
Yeah.
So
What would you say to someone who's like desperate to make a hit?
don't be, because I feel like the moment you start trying like specifically to make a hit, you'll fail. But I feel like
Mm.
if you try to make good music, you have a better chance of just being like, because a hit really comes from like relatability, like people uh, either relate or it's catchy as fuck. So like um, to in order for you to like be like relatable, like whatever, like you have to just be yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like a lot of what we've discussed in this conversation is owed and kind of comes back to just being authentically yourself.
yeah, because I mean, like the rest will follow. Like I promise. Like stop worrying about the money. Stop worrying about like what you're gonna do tomorrow. Like just like take everything step by step, and like that's really the most like I can recommend for somebody, because I feel like a lot of people expect like immediate success, and like it just doesn't work like that. Like if you really want to be here and you want to be here for the long run, like you're just not gonna worry about it. You're just gonna be like, hey, it's like rinse and repeat. Like I'm gonna continue to do this. I'm gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna start working with so and so, whatever, and like the rest will follow. Like the most success I've seen, and like the most results I've seen is from people who just work. Like if you literally just work, you just put your head down, like everything else will work out for you.
Mm-hmm. How do you
Like the shit will come.
yeah. How do you define success?
I feel like it's a very like personal. That's like a personal thing that like we all like define ourselves. I feel like I can easily be like at this point in my life be like, oh, like I'm successful. I'm gonna go back home now.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I have this tattoo on me that says I like where I'm at, because I'm never seem to be satisfied like at the place I'm at in my life,
Mm.
because I get somewhere where I'm like, yo, when I was in Arizona, like the goal was like, if I can make a living off music, then I'm good. Like that's all I want. Like I just want to be able to make a living off music. I've been living off music for like the last 4 years, and I don't feel like I'm where I need to be yet. So like,
Mm-hmm.
just keep going. I feel like it's like taking that, like what I said, like where I just put my head down, continue to work, and like the rest will follow. Like the artist stuff this year is gonna go crazy. The next like 4 or 5 songs I'm dropping, like I'm so confident in, like I'm so like excited to just like put out this side, because I feel like nothing has been like closer to like who I am than like this stuff. And like I finally have time, I have funding, like I have all this. And it was because I was able to just be patient and like just like do it when the time's right. Because I would hate to do something and like do it like half-ass, you know what I mean? Just because I don't have the resources or like whatever. But at this point, I'm able to like fund myself, and like I believe in myself, and like I'm just excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
The last question that I want to ask you is, like, what do you feel like you're currently overcoming?
I think depression. I feel like for a long time I've kind of like avoided it. I feel like I've kind of like cared too much what like people thought. I cared too much like about other people's situations over mine. And I feel like this has been like the year, oddly enough, out of like, you know, like with the pandemic and everything, like where I've been able to like find myself creatively, like be comfortable as myself as a person, and focus on like myself. I feel like I was very like selfless before, like to the point where like I was putting other people in front of myself. And I feel like in the long run that was hurting me, because I felt like if I'm not there for them, like they have nobody, or like I just thought too much into it, but then I was kind of just like damaging myself. I feel like it's very important to keep a balance of like, you know, being able to be there for your people, but also you got to make sure you're okay, because if you're not okay, then you can't help anybody. So I think that's been my biggest overcoming situation. And I feel I would say for anyone like in the same situation is like only time will fix things. Only time, like, and like staying committed to something that like you love. Don't do something that like you're unhappy doing. Like if you wake up every day and you're like, I hate this shit, or like whatever, like if you need to for the time being, do it, but like get out of there as soon as you can. You know what I mean? Like we have like, I feel like these, like me telling you like the 5 years feels like 20, like time flies by. Like I'm 23 and I feel like I was just like 16, like just starting music. And I feel like people need to take note of that and realize that you don't have as much time as you think you do. And like, you shouldn't spend it, you know, trying to make other people happy or trying to accomplish something that you genuinely don't love.
Yeah.
Cause I could genuinely say like, I'm happy with like the music industry because of like the route that I took, and like everything that led up to this point, like everything happened for a reason. And it took me a lot of like trials and tribulations to like figure that out. And like everyone's gonna have their own challenges. I know people who are like way less fortunate than I was, and like they still make it happen. So that's like, you know, identify that, stop comparing yourself to other people. I know that's really hard with like Instagram and shit like that, but I promise to anybody, like if you're just yourself, like you can't fail with anything.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing your experience and your stories, and for this conversation. I feel like it was a really good, open, inspiring conversation, and I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to see how you continue to evolve.
I appreciate it. I feel like it's just like you were there from like the beginning, as far as like when it came to like even just writing articles for like the shit I was dropping when I was younger. And like, I just really appreciate that. Like, I feel like with anyone like that in my life, like you said, like you just have to keep them close.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate it. And thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.